I'm Jordan Belfort, and this is Sales School. All right, short message from my number one sponsor, NetSuite. Here's the deal. If you're a business owner, you don't need them, NetSuite, to tell you it's tough to run a business, because it is, right? We all know that. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle. They're the world's number one cloud-based business system. They give you the visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. You want to join over 24,000 companies using NetSuite right now. So schedule a free product tour now at netsuite.com/school. That's netsuite.com/school. I want to hear your six. You said it was six steps?
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's hear, what are your 6 steps to greatness here in sales, or just, in custom? Was it a customer service thing or sales? What is it? Let's hear it.
What's my 6 choices?
What was your formula? You said
Yeah.
you were doing, I thought you said there was a number of steps. Maybe I misheard you.
Yeah. No, not 6 steps.
People, maybe.
I think there's my 6 people.
So what was it? You said it was
my
steps.
God, my 6 people were outperforming them because they had skin in the game. Because
what were
they
your
made
steps,
decisions.
though? You had certain
My
steps. You said your formula. They weren't.
Yeah.
I want to know your formula.
My formula?
Yes.
Jesus. My formula for that was be exceptional, stand out in a sea of sameness. I hired the best people. They believed they brought value into the office, and therefore they got back. They weren't like, sort of dropping off samples or doing any of the bullshit that is like the cheap sales. And we had exceptional customer service. We cared about the people that bought from us. And look, if I looked around in pharma, nobody was the hero in customer service. So, for example, I took the whole company to Zappos because they're the best in customer service. Why wouldn't we learn from the best?
One thing that sticks out to me
of
everything you've said so far, right, that I have to know,
Okay.
is that when you tell me that you have a sales force of 6 people, that's destroying a sales force of crushing a sales force of 60.
Yep.
I want to know exactly what they're doing, those particular things that you essentially instill in them, whether their competencies and mindset. Let's hear that, because everyone can value, get from that.
So I'll tell you, I say there's 6 choices you have to make to come work for me. So here's what they are. You got to choose to be an owner. And I found people who, at their core, like owned it all the way through. The mistakes, the pauses, the wins, like they owned it. I fucked up at one point, right? We had an out of stock in the company. Totally my poor planning. And classic salesperson goes into an office and they're like, hey, the boobs back in HQ didn't. Like these people showed up and said, hey, we're small, we're learning, hang with us.
Right.
They were owners. They were bold. Like they stood out in a sea of sameness. They didn't show up the same way as any other people. They didn't show up the same way as this other Salesforce, right? Like they knew they brought in value and they were bold in how they showed up.
Stop.
Yes.
Let's give subtitles to that.
Okay.
How do you do
bold?
How do you stand? You say show up. How do you do that? What's the tactics? How
to stand out in a sea of sameness? I think like
dress code is it? Like
my God, we did. We showed up in scrubs, right? Like we showed up that we were supposed to be in that office, and we got signaled right back, as opposed to the other rep all like fancy and Madison Avenue showing up with their fancy deal materials. Like they were human. They had a real conversation, and they knew that what they were bringing to the office brought value to it, and we gave them a permission to be bold. We were quirky as hell. Like that's something, it's a weird choice that I say you make, but everybody's got quirks. And what we do is we sort of hide them away, right? All of our quirks, as opposed to put them out there. Let me give you an example. So the biggest writer, or the most important person in the field of testosterone, was a guy out of Harvard. He had done all the scientific work, and his early work was in lizards. Okay, and testosterone. He studied what would happen if you replaced testosterone in lizards. Okay, and so we would put plastic lizards in every box we sent out to him. Ridiculous, right? We would pop nobody would say anything about it. We just put it in his shipments. And I can remember going to his office, and you can imagine it's Harvard. It's like ivory tower and the mahogany bookshelf. And I'll be damned if on the second shelf there wasn't all of those plastic lizards. People care about being heard, being seen for all of their quirks. And I think our people showed theirs too, full on. Choose to be learning. And I think
so
that's
they knew
the difference.
They understood your product.
They understood it. They were learning, and every day they were getting better, right? These weren't salespeople that showed up thinking oh, I'm just going to do the regular spiel. Every day in their car, they can listen, they can learn from podcasts, they can do all those things, and they were voracious sort of learners. That's one of the qualities I looked for. How did they continue learning all of the time? They were family at the core. I have there's a quote, it's not sexy, but it says, the group that is loyal to the rest of the group is more likely to accomplish its goals. It's like, how do you create? We would disagree wildly behind the scenes. You know, we might have different tactics and everything else, but once we walked out of the door, it was locked arms against the world.
Got it.
And that familial
Unified
piece of it
corporate
was
front.
so important. And I think the last piece is it was they were appreciative. And that's life, right? You have a choice. Like every day you wake up, are you going to go through with an attitude of gratitude? And I think they really were appreciative of those people who became customers, of that time they were given and everything else. And it's so simple, right? But with 6 choice, everything's a choice when you wake up every day. Like, how are you going to show up in the world? And I was really, as I looked for people to join this, culture was the most important thing to me. Their resumes when they came, I did not care.
Right.
Like, I actually didn't care what they had done before. I cared if they would fit and could learn how we got it done. And those were the kind of choices they did. It's so basic.